So today I wanted to talk a little bit about manifestation. I know it's a really popular topic, popular strategy. There are lots of communities around it, lots of beliefs around it, lots of different approaches to it. And I'm always kind of curious about folks engage with it. The people who are about it are about it. And for those who are kind of in between, I'm curious, what kind of feelings do folks have about it? For myself, I've definitely used manifestation strategies. I am a believer, I'm a fan. However, I think there's a little bit more to it than what people typically talk about when it comes to manifestation strategies. I guess I'd say I've done it and it has worked, and I've done it and I have not had the results that I was hoping for. So because I've kind of I've had it work, I've had it not work. Yeah, I think it is a tool and it is a strategy that we can use. And I want to share a little bit about a pretty big kind of manifesting experience that I had, and really kind of looking at the other elements that made this thing possible. Maybe I'll say it that way. I often will say to folks that we live in a reality, in a space, in a existence that works pretty. Airplanes coming. We live and exist in a space where action is how we typically create change, a new environment, or bring about a thing. It's how we create. It's through action. And so one of the things that we can do is have very intentional, focused, meaningful, well-informed, consistent action. You'll hear people say consistent action is how we're going to get things done, because that is the space we're in. Action creates results. And so when we're talking about manifesting, we're kind of looking at a different way to bring about a result, a different way to change, or maybe the types of action that we're taking is different than what you might typically think of to achieve a particular result. So to achieve a particular result, you might have folks who are eating a certain dish, eating a certain meal, taking spiritual baths, doing, engaging in certain kinds of physical activity, affirmations, mantras, prayers. These are all things that you can't directly see how doing this thing is creating this outcome. Like cooking, you see the fire, someone puts the ingredients in, the cooking happens, and now you have something else. You can see the relationship very clearly. Whereas with manifesting, you may not see the relationship in that direct kind of cause and effect, straightforward way. So it feels like manifesting comes into play for many of us when we are not clear about what actions to take to bring about the result, or circumstances are such that it would be difficult for us to take the particular action and gain the resources or gain the connections or whatever to achieve this particular result. So then we shift and start using different modalities, practices, or approaches to achieving the change, getting the thing we're trying to get, or creating the experience we're trying to have. So for myself, that was a long-winded way to get into telling the story. One of the things I feel like I definitely manifested for myself a few years ago is a move and a car. So I was ready to move. I had lived in an older building. It was a one-bedroom apartment. The kind of business that I was pursuing at that time, I needed a little bit more space than what I had in that apartment, and I needed to move. And there were some other things that had happened at that time. I remember I was like, I just need a new space. I kind of need a fresh start. And I also, my car was, on its way out. I'd had my car for like 10 years or so, and had jobs that required a lot of driving. And then I was a commuter for college, and so I had long commutes to go to classes. Like, that car had put in some time, and it was on its way out. So I wanted a fresh start with a new place, and I was looking for a new car. And I remember I started looking, I was researching cars and had kind of picked out the car that that I wanted, and I was looking at other apartments, and I was doing that whole thing. I was visualizing, so when I would drive, I would kind of visualize myself in my new car, what I would be listening to. I started kind of decluttering, cleaning up, getting rid of things. I started kind of preparing for a move in the apartment. I started taking all of these kind of what felt like energetic changes, energy inspired changes, I should say. Of like, hey, okay, we're getting ready to move. Let me start packing things up. Okay, we're getting ready to get this new car. Oh, I'm just gonna envision what it's like and feel what it's like to be in this new car. So I was doing those sorts of things. And I ended up moving to a bigger place. And I ended up being able, it was with the same folks who owned the apartment building that I was previously in. So I was able to just kind of move over my security deposit and didn't have to pay a new security deposit, and was able to get a larger apartment. It had almost everything that I wanted on my list. It was missing like a thing or two. And I got the car that I wanted. And I got it with no money down and not ridiculous payments either. And, you know, it all worked out. And so I'm skipping over a lot of details here because I want to get to some other things. But there was a huge energetic kind of manifestation energy to all of that. I was also doing like affirmations. I had like regular routines slash rituals. That's a whole separate video of routines and rituals because I think they're pretty much the same thing, just a matter of kind of like the energy that's behind it. There was a lot of that happening. However, you know, I also think about, well, my credit was in really good shape. So had I not taken all these other actions leading up to preparing for a new car, would I have been able to get the car with no down payment, with reasonable payments, had I not taken all of this consistent, intentional action on all these other things that came before? Same with being able to move, you know, into the apartment. Had I not been a good tenant and paid my bill, you know, paid rent and did all these things in a timely manner, would I have had the opportunity to just move my security deposit and move into a new place at the time that I was looking to move? So there is an element of the magical, the manifestation aspect of things. However, it also feels like there's an element of consistent, meaningful action, effort, dedication, kind of integrity, those sorts of things that also contributed to me being able to achieve the thing that I was trying to achieve. It feels like a mix of both. And I wonder for other people, because I can only speak for my own experiences, I wonder if that's true for other folks as well. There is a mixing of these very kind of practical, straightforward strategies combined with the more kind of energetic, spiritual, esoteric space as well, and together it's helping to create this outcome or this experience. And I'm honestly just curious. You know, I don't know that I have the answer. I know what my experiences have been. And it also makes me think about miracles, right? So something out of the ordinary happens and we'll say, you know, that was a miracle, or look at God, look at what God can do, or that, you know, you've been blessed. We have all these things that we say when something happens in a way that isn't ordered in the way that is typical for the place that we're in, this earth that we're on. And it's noteworthy because we're used to things happening in an orderly way. So my thought is that it's probably a combination of things. You know, if you are wanting to have something different, to have a different experience, yes, we have seen, I'm sure we've all heard, lived, and seen where, you know, prayer changes things. This person manifested this thing out of thin air. There was nothing else going on that would make this thing happen, and it happened. So we know that those things are possibilities. I guess my thought is, how much can we help ourselves to be well positioned to receive more of those miracles or manifestations? How can we take the meaningful, focused, inspired, consistent action so that when the opportunity presents itself, or when we are ready to make a move, we're prepared. And now the phrase that's coming into my head is, if if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. If you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. How do we stay ready? So that when we're ready to make the move, or life requires us to make the move, because sometimes it is not our choice, at least that could be a whole other conversation. Sometimes it is not, it's not apparent that it is our choice, or it's not our choice that we have to make this move. How can we take the necessary actions and be prepared to then engage in this other work to bring about change in our lives? And I think that's where I see myself sitting as someone who focuses on like life coaching, and more specifically time management and goal setting. I want to help folks have the tools that they need to take the consistent action that they may need to take to achieve their goals. We're kind of putting the energy out there and positioning ourselves to be successful because we're already prepared, if that makes any sense. So this was more of a musing video of kind of how the focused and very kind of concrete actions that we might take when we're doing traditional goal setting or time management or any of those things play together or play with more kind of spiritual, energetic practices that you might find in something like manifestation. I think they play very nicely together. And I feel like for many of us, both are needed to achieve the goals that we're trying to achieve. So yeah, that was my little musing for the day. You can follow me here on YouTube. I'm also on TikTok and Facebook and Pinterest. I have an accountability group. We meet once a week. We work on whatever goals we're working on. Once a month, we have a goal setting session to kind of clarify what it is we want to work on for that month. I have some books on Amazon. The Amazon name is Lovely Library, or Lovely Library, or Lovely. It'll be in the description below. Pinterest, I believe, is Lightwork Lab, because that's the name of the accountability group, so that it's under that. And then it's my name for YouTube and for TikTok. So I never said my name. My name is Zanaya. I'm so glad that you are here watching my video, and I hope that you'll watch the next one, and I hope that you're well. Take care. Bye.